I'm Patrick Canavan. I'm the Labour Party candidate for Police and Crime Commissioner in Dorset, and the reason I'm standing is to protect this beautiful part of the country. My background is that I was a regional officer for one of the country's largest trade unions, and in that job it was really about helping people, representing people, being an advocate for people, and that's very much how I see this role, about trying to help people organise at a local level. At the moment, what we have is a police and crime panel which is supposed to hold the Police and Crime Commissioner to account, but it's very weak and it has no real teeth. And what I would like to do is to completely reinvent that system and create a whole new system which allows people to have a much greater say over the decision making. So at the moment what happens is the Police and Crime Commissioner, in consultation with all sorts of people, devises this police and crime plan. It's a very long document and it's very centralised. What I would want to do is say, well, hang on a minute, what about this area or that area, and allow them to determine those priorities for themselves. I don't think surveys change the power ratio at all. I mean, it's helpful, I'm not knocking it as a tool, but it doesn't shift the balance of power. And that's for me the issue. So you think about, well, where are the power brokers in this community? There are lots of different community organisations, lots of different sort of public groups, and people come together in all sorts of different ways. Why can't we find a way of harnessing that power and using that collective involvement in the community as a way of saying, well, hang on a minute, before you make that decision, this is what we want, this is what our priorities are. We want you to build these priorities into the police and crime panel for our area, and what's more, we want you to give us the money to enable us to do it. This is a really good example here in Boscombe of the police sharing a space with local community groups, and the public have access to this space. So it's a way of bringing the police closer to the community, and I think that's a really good example of how I'd like to see policing develop. But it's not just about public involvement at that level, it's also got to be about moving power away from the centre and allowing the people here in Boscombe to have some real say, some real control and power over the sorts of priorities that affect this area. People deserve power and not platitudes. It's about moving the power away from the centre and allowing local people to determine the priorities that matter for them, not one individual. Policing in Dorset is excellent, it's well led, but the issue for them is about money, and the fact that the government have shifted some proportion of the funding to local level means that there's no alternative but for the Police and Crime Commissioner to increase the policing precept on the council tax. Unfortunately, with the government cuts, not only have they already affected policing and made the police already stretch, the things that are concerning people now are only going to be made worse by those funding cuts. So we've got to guarantee money for crime prevention, because prevention is as important as responding to crime. We've got to ensure there's guaranteed funding for community initiatives which improve people's security, people's safety in their own homes, the ability for people to be able to go out and enjoy themselves. Those sorts of issues, I think, because they affect people's everyday lives, we've got to find the money first and foremost to ensure people are confident that they're able to do those things that they enjoy. Drugs, it's about antisocial behaviour, it's about violence in the street, about people being scared to go out on their own in the evening, that sort of issue. And we really got to tackle that, and I think we tackle it by changing the priorities, by trying to encourage the police to put those issues higher up their agenda.